Captain Hyunwoo stared at the display screen in front of him. The coffee in his cup had gone cold hours ago, but he didn't notice. His eyes were fixed on the readings that made no sense at all. "Run the scan again," he said to Engineer Yu-jin, who sat at the control panel nearby. Yu-jin's fingers moved quickly over the buttons. She had already run the scan 6 times, but she didn't argue. The captain looked worried, and when Captain Hyunwoo looked worried, everyone on the ship felt nervous. The Harmony's Edge was not a big ship. It carried only 12 crew members, all trained for long missions in deep space. They had been traveling for 3 months, looking for new planets that might be useful to the Galactic Federation. It was usually boring work. Most planets they found were empty rocks or gas balls with nothing interesting on them. But this planet was different. "Same readings, Captain," Yu-jin said after a few minutes. "The computer keeps saying there's an error, but I've checked everything twice. The equipment is working fine." Dr. So-young looked up from her own screen. She was the ship's expert on alien life, and she had been studying the planet's biology data for the past 4 hours. Her face was pale. "Captain, I think we need to see this," she said. "These life readings are impossible." Commander Ji-ho walked over from his station. He was responsible for the ship's safety and weapons. Unlike the others, he looked excited rather than worried. "What kind of impossible?" Ji-ho asked. Dr. So-young pointed at her screen. "Look at these numbers. The atmosphere has 21% oxygen. That's enough to cause fires everywhere. Most planets we know have only 2 or 3%, and the gravity reading is almost 10 meters per second squared. That would crush most Federation species." Captain Hyunwoo frowned. "But you said there are life signs?" "Millions of them," Dr. So-young replied. "Maybe billions. The planet is covered with living things, but nothing should be able to live in those conditions." Yu-jin pulled up a new display. "Captain, look at this weather data. The planet has storms that move at over 300 kilometers per hour. The temperature changes by 40 degrees between different seasons. And there are areas where the ground literally melts and shoots fire into the sky. Volcanoes," Dr. So-young said. "Hundreds of them. Active volcanoes that could destroy entire cities. But the scans show cities exist right next to these danger zones." Commander Ji-ho studied the military readings. "The planet has large bodies of water. Some of them are so big our ship could get lost in them. And Captain, there are creatures in those waters that are larger than our vessel." Captain Hyunwoo had been exploring space for 15 years. He had seen strange planets before. But this was different. This planet shouldn't exist. Life couldn't develop in such extreme conditions. Yet the scans clearly showed a world full of living creatures. "What's the radiation level?" he asked. Yu-jin checked her instruments. "High, Captain. The star in this system puts out much more energy than most stars. Any normal planet this close would be burned clean. But this one has some kind of protective layer in the atmosphere." "An ozone layer," Dr. So-young said. "But even with protection, the radiation should be dangerous to most life forms we know." Captain Hyunwoo walked to the main viewing window. The planet hung in space below them, blue and white and green. It looked beautiful from this distance, but the data told a different story. "What does the computer classify this as?" he asked. Dr. So-young's fingers moved over her controls. After a moment, she looked up with wide eyes. "Class 14, Captain." The bridge went quiet. Everyone knew what that meant. The Galactic Federation used a scale from 1 to 15 to rate how dangerous planets were. Class 1 planets were safe garden worlds where children could play outside without any protection. Class 5 planets needed special equipment to visit safely. Class 10 planets could kill trained explorers in minutes. No one had ever found a Class 14 planet. Most scientists thought such a world was impossible. The theoretical models said nothing could live on a Class 14 Deathworld. "Run the classification again," Captain Hyunwoo said quietly. Dr. So-young ran the test 3 more times. Each time, the computer gave the same answer. "Class 14. "Captain," Commander Ji-ho said, "if there really is intelligent life on this planet, we need to be very careful. Anything that could survive down there would be incredibly dangerous." Yu-jin nodded. "The thermal scans show what look like cities. Big ones. And there are signs of technology. Primitive by our standards, but they're definitely using tools and energy." Dr. So-young pulled up more data. "I'm seeing electromagnetic signals. Radio waves mostly. They're definitely intelligent, and they're communicating with each other across the planet." Captain Hyunwoo felt a chill run down his back. An intelligent species that could survive on a Class 14 Deathworld would be the most dangerous creatures the galaxy had ever seen. Their bodies would be incredibly strong. Their minds would be shaped by constant survival. They would probably see violence as normal and peace as weakness. What do we know about their biology? He asked. Dr. So Young worked with her computer for several minutes. The scans are limited from this distance, Captain. But I can tell they're carbon-based, like most life we know. They seem to be about the same size as Federation species, maybe a little taller. But Captain, their bone density is much higher than normal. Their muscle structure looks incredibly strong. Predators? Commander Jiho asked. I think so, Dr. So Young replied. Their eyes face forward, which usually means they hunt other creatures. And their teeth. Captain, they have sharp teeth for cutting meat, but also flat teeth for grinding plants. They eat both plants and animals. Yujin looked confused. How can they eat both? Most species eat one or the other. It means they're adaptable, Dr. So Young explained. They can survive on whatever food they can find. That's another sign of how tough they are. Captain Hyunwoo made a decision. Deploy the deep scan probes. I want to know everything about this planet and its inhabitants. But keep the probes at a safe distance. If these creatures have developed space technology, I don't want them to notice us. Yes, Captain, Yujin said. She began programming the probe launch sequence. Commander Jiho moved closer to the captain. Sir, shouldn't we report this to Federation Command immediately? A Class 14 Deathworld with intelligent life is, well, it's unprecedented. Captain Hyunwoo nodded slowly. We will, but first I want more information. The Federation Council will need complete data to make decisions about this. The first probe launched 30 minutes later. It was designed to look like a small asteroid, so the planet's inhabitants wouldn't recognize it as artificial. The probe would spend the next several days taking detailed scans of the surface. As they waited for the probe data, the crew continued their analysis of the long-range scans. Each new piece of information made the planet seem more impossible and more terrifying. Captain, Dr. So Young called out, I'm picking up audio signals now. The inhabitants are talking to each other. Can you understand any of it? Captain Hyunwoo asked. Not yet, but the computer is starting to identify patterns. Give me a few hours. Commander Jiho was studying the energy readings. Captain, these creatures are using controlled explosions for power and for weapons. They figured out how to harness chemical reactions that could level buildings. Yujin looked up from her controls. The probe is sending back its first detailed images, Captain. Captain Hyunwoo walked over to look at the main display. What he saw there would give him nightmares for weeks to come. The surface of the planet was both beautiful and terrifying. Green forests covered huge areas, but the trees looked different from any plants they knew. Stronger, tougher, built to survive harsh conditions. But it was the creatures that made his blood run cold. Dear Cosmic Void, Commander Jiho whispered. What are those things? The probe had captured images of the planet's predators, massive creatures with claws and teeth that could tear through metal, striped hunters that moved like liquid death through tall grass, spotted creatures that worked together in groups to bring down prey much larger than themselves. And everywhere, signs of the intelligence that somehow ruled this world of monsters. The dominant species, Dr. So Young said quietly. They call themselves humans. The probe data kept coming in, and each new report made the crew of the Harmony's Edge more frightened. Engineer Yujin had stopped eating her meals. Dr. So Young barely slept. Commander Jiho checked the ship's weapon systems 3 times each day, even though their small exploration vessel had only basic defensive equipment. Captain Hyunwoo stood in front of the main display, watching images from the planet's surface. The probe had been sending back pictures for 2 days now, and every single image showed something that shouldn't be possible. Show me the ocean scans again, he said to Yujin. The display changed to show underwater images. Giant creatures moved through the dark water like living ships. Some had tentacles longer than the Harmony's Edge. Others had teeth the size of escape pods. One creature the probe recorded was so large that at first they thought it was an underwater mountain. The biggest one we've seen so far is over 30 meters long, Dr. So Young reported. It weighs more than our ship. And Captain, it's not even the largest species down there. The probe detected something much bigger, but it stayed too deep to get clear images. Yujin pulled up another screen. The land predators are just as bad, Captain. Look at this. The image showed a massive creature with yellow fur and black stripes. It moved silently through tall grass, hunting something the probe couldn't see. When it finally attacked, the speed was incredible. The creature could run faster than most Federation vehicles. Those claws, Commander Jiho said, pointing at the screen. They're 15 centimeters long. They could cut through our hull plating. And that's not the worst part, Dr. So Young added. Watch this recording from yesterday. The screen showed a group of smaller predators working together. They surrounded a large plant-eating animal and attacked from different directions. Their teamwork was perfect. They communicated with sounds and body movements, planning their attack like trained soldiers. Intelligence, Captain Hyunwoo said quietly. These predators are intelligent. Not just intelligent, Captain, Dr. So Young replied. They're using tools. Look at this. The new image showed black and white creatures in the ocean. They were using rocks to break open shells. Other images showed forest creatures using sticks to get food from tree holes. Even more disturbing, some predators were teaching these skills to their young. Yujin brought up the atmospheric analysis. Captain, I've been studying the air composition more carefully. 21% oxygen isn't just dangerous because of fires. It means these creatures' blood can carry much more energy to their muscles. They're naturally stronger and faster than anything we've ever seen. How much stronger? Commander Jiho asked. Based on the muscle density scans, an average human could probably lift objects that weigh twice as much as they do. A trained human might be 3 or 4 times stronger than a similar-sized Federation citizen. Captain Hyunwoo felt sick. What about their endurance? Dr. So Young checked her data. Captain, the probe recorded humans running for hours without stopping. Not fast running, but steady movement over long distances. Their bodies seemed designed for persistence hunting. What's persistence hunting? Yujin asked. It means they chase their prey until it gets too tired to run anymore, Dr. So Young explained. Then they kill it when it collapses from exhaustion. It's one of the most effective hunting methods in nature, but it requires incredible endurance. Commander Jiho was studying the tactical implications. Captain, if these humans ever develop space travel, they would be unstoppable in ground combat. They're stronger, faster, and tougher than any Federation species, and they're pack hunters with tool-making intelligence. The probe's next transmission made everything worse. Yujin's face went white as she read the data. Captain, the probe has identified their major settlements. The humans have built cities with millions of inhabitants. But Captain, they've built these cities in the most dangerous places on the planet. The display showed a massive human city built right next to an active volcano. Lava flowed just kilometers away from millions of human homes. Another city existed in an area where the ground shook constantly from earthquakes. A third city was built in a place where the air temperature reached 50 degrees during the hot season. They're not avoiding the dangers, Dr. So Young realized. They're living right next to them. It's like they don't even see these threats as problems. Yujin pulled up weather data. Captain, this planet has storms that would destroy our ship. Hurricane-force winds, lightning strikes that could power our engines, and hailstones the size of our escape pods. But the humans just live through these storms. They've built their cities to survive them. Show me their technology, Captain Hyunwoo ordered. The probe had recorded human machines and vehicles. The technology was primitive compared to Federation standards, but it was incredibly robust. Human vehicles were built to work in extreme conditions. Their buildings could survive earthquakes and storms that would flatten Federation structures. They power their civilization by burning things, Yujin reported. Fossil fuels, they call them. They're literally setting fire to carbon compounds and using the explosions for energy. Commander Jiho laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. Of course they are. They live on a Deathworld, so naturally they power their society with controlled explosions. Dr. So Young was analyzing biological samples the probe had collected from the air. Captain, I'm finding microscopic life forms that are just as aggressive as the large creatures. There are tiny organisms that attack and eat other living things. There are viruses that invade cells and take them over. And there are bacteria that can digest almost any organic material. The humans are surrounded by invisible predators too? Captain Hyunwoo asked. Worse, Captain. Some of these microscopic creatures live inside the humans. They help with digestion and other body functions. The humans have formed partnerships with some of the deadliest microorganisms we've ever seen. Yujin was studying the probe's geological data. Captain, this planet is trying to kill everything on it. The continents move around and crash into each other. Volcanoes explode regularly. The magnetic field that protects the planet from radiation flips around completely every few thousand years. And Captain, it's happened before. Multiple times. Mass extinctions, Dr. So Young said. The probe data shows that most life on this planet has been wiped out several times in the past. But somehow life keeps coming back, stronger and more adaptable each time. Commander Jiho was looking at population data. Captain, there are billions of humans on this planet. Billions. They've spread to every continent and every climate zone. They live in frozen areas, where the temperature never goes above freezing. They live in deserts where there's almost no water. They even live on floating cities in the middle of those monster-filled oceans. The probe's language analysis program finally produced results. Dr. So Young read the report with growing horror. Captain, I've been studying their communications. Their entertainment shows are full of violence. They tell stories about wars and fighting and survival. Even their children's games involve simulated combat. Maybe that's just their fiction, Eugene suggested hopefully. No, Dr. So Young replied. The probe intercepted their historical records. Captain, these humans have been fighting wars continuously for their entire recorded history. They've developed thousands of different ways to hurt and kill each other. And they're constantly improving their weapons. Captain Hyunwoo sat down heavily in his command chair. What about their social structure? Do they have any kind of peaceful government? Dr. So Young checked her translation programs. They have hundreds of different governments, Captain. Some are peaceful, but many are based on military strength. And Captain, even their peaceful societies maintain huge armies and weapons stockpiles. For what purpose? Commander Jiho asked. Defense against other humans, Dr. So Young replied. They don't trust each other. Every human nation assumes that other human nations might attack them at any time. Eugene was monitoring the probe's energy readings. Captain, I'm detecting nuclear weapons. Lots of them. The humans have built bombs that could destroy entire cities, and they've pointed these weapons at each other. The bridge fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant. These humans weren't just surviving on a death world. They had turned themselves into weapons capable of destroying their own planet. How many nuclear weapons? Captain Hyunwoo asked quietly. Eugene checked the readings twice before answering. Thousands, Captain. Maybe tens of thousands. Enough to make their planet uninhabitable. Dr. So Young was studying the social implications. Captain, the humans know their weapons could destroy their civilization, but they keep building more anyway. They call it deterrence. They believe that having weapons prevents others from using weapons against them. Commander Jiho shook his head. They're living on a planet that's constantly trying to kill them, surrounded by creatures that want to eat them, and they still find time to threaten each other with extinction-level weapons. Captain Hyunwoo made a decision that would change galactic history. Prepare a priority transmission to Federation Command. Code Red Emergency. Yes, Captain, Eugene replied. What should I tell them? Captain Hyunwoo looked at the image of the blue and white planet on his screen. The emergency transmission reached Federation Command in 6 hours. Within 12 hours, Admiral Minho was standing in the largest meeting room on Central Station, facing representatives from every major species in the galaxy. The room buzzed with nervous conversations in dozens of different languages. Order, Admiral Minho called out. The room fell silent immediately. When the Federation's top military commander spoke, everyone listened. The Admiral was tall and thin like most of his species. His people had evolved on a peaceful garden world, where the biggest predator was the size of a small dog. The idea of a Class 14 death world made his hands shake. We have received a Code Red report from Survey Ship Harmony's Edge, he announced. They have discovered an inhabited Class 14 death world. The representatives started talking all at once. Several species had never even heard of a Class 14 rating. Others thought it was impossible. Silence, Admiral Minho commanded. Let me show you what we're dealing with. The room's main display activated. Images from the probe began streaming across the giant screen. Gasps and cries filled the room as the representatives saw Earth's predators for the first time. Counselor Binna from the peaceful Keth species stood up. Her people were small and gentle, living on fruits and plants. The sight of Earth's hunters made her sick. Those creatures, she said in a shaking voice. They look like nightmares. How big are they? The largest land predator weighs over 300 kilograms, Admiral Minho replied. The ocean predators are much larger. Some weigh as much as our smallest starships. Representative Wu Jin from the aquatic Merhai people was studying the ocean footage. His species lived in calm, safe seas where the worst danger was getting lost in underwater caves. Those ocean creatures, he said slowly, They hunt in groups, and they're intelligent. Look at how they coordinate their attacks. The display switched to footage of humans. The representatives went completely quiet. For a full minute, nobody spoke. Finally, Counselor Yunsu from the insectoid Vrix broke the silence. Her species was known for their logical thinking and careful planning. These humans, she said, they don't look like monsters. They look almost normal. If you saw one without context, you might think they were just another Federation species. That's what makes them so dangerous, Admiral Minho replied. They look harmless, but they evolved on a planet that kills most visitors within hours. Their bodies are designed for survival in conditions that would destroy our strongest military equipment. Dr. Tae-sung, the Federation's top xenobiologist, stepped forward. He had been studying the probe data since it arrived. The biological analysis is terrifying, he reported. These humans are persistence predators. They can run for hours without stopping. Their bone density is 3 times higher than the galactic average. Their muscle efficiency is off all our charts. Representative Sung Ho from the artistic Dalmari species looked confused. His people were known for their beautiful music and peaceful nature. But surely they're civilized, he said hopefully. Intelligence leads to peace. Every species discovers this as they develop. Dr. Tae-sung shook his head. I'm afraid not. The probe intercepted thousands of hours of their communications. These humans are in a constant state of warfare. They have weapons that could destroy their entire planet, and they keep making more. The room erupted in panicked conversations. Admiral Minho had to call for order 3 times before the representatives quieted down. What do they want? Counselor Bina asked. Why do they fight so much? According to their communications, Dr. Tae-sung explained, they fight over resources, territory, ideas, and sometimes just because they don't like each other. Their entire culture is built around competition and conflict. Representative Wu Jin was studying the probe's recordings of human entertainment. Admiral, I'm looking at their fiction. Their stories are all about war, fighting, and survival. Even their children's stories involve violence. They call it fairy tales, and Dr. Tae-sung added. Stories they tell to young humans often involve heroes killing monsters or defeating enemies in battle. Counselor Yunsu was analyzing the tactical data. Their military technology is primitive but effective. They've developed chemical explosives, projectile weapons, and area denial systems. And Admiral, they've weaponized their own atmosphere. What do you mean? Admiral Minho asked. They use oxygen and other atmospheric gases to create fuel-air explosives. They can turn the very air around them into a weapon. The representatives were getting more frightened by the minute. These humans sounded like the worst nightmare of every peaceful species in the galaxy. Dr. Tae-sung brought up more disturbing data. The humans have also weaponized biological agents. They've studied their planet's deadly microorganisms and learned to use them against each other. Representative Sung Ho looked ready to faint. They use diseases as weapons. Historically, yes, though they seem to have agreements now limiting such weapons. The interesting thing is that they made these agreements not because they thought biological weapons were wrong, but because they were afraid other humans would use them back. Admiral Minho was studying the technological progression data. Dr. Tae-sung, how close are they to achieving spaceflight? Very close, Admiral. They've already reached their planet's moon using chemical rockets. Based on their current development rate, they'll have interplanetary capability within decades. Interstellar travel might take them a few centuries, but they will achieve it. The room fell silent again. Everyone understood what that meant. These super predators would eventually spread beyond their death world. Counselor Bina stood up again. Admiral, what are our options? Admiral Minho had been dreading this question. The Federation Council has 3 choices. First, we can attempt peaceful contact and hope to guide them toward a more civilized path. What's the second option? Representative Wu Jin asked. Complete quarantine. We surround their system with warning beacons and defensive stations. No one goes in, nothing comes out. Counselor Yunsu's logical mind immediately saw the problem. And the third option? Admiral Minho paused before answering. Planetary sterilization. We destroy their civilization before they can spread. The room exploded in arguments. Half the representatives thought the humans were too dangerous to ignore. The other half believed genocide was never acceptable, no matter how frightening the target species might be. Order, Admiral Minho shouted. This decision cannot be made quickly. We need more information. Dr. Tae-sung raised his hand. Admiral, there's something else. Something very disturbing about their biology. What now? Admiral Minho asked tiredly. The genetic analysis shows something impossible. These humans have genetic markers that appear in several Federation species. The room went quiet. Representative Wu Jin was the first to speak. What kind of genetic markers? Specifically, neural pathway structures and immune system components. The probe's biological scanner found traces of human genetic patterns in samples from Keth, Merhai, and Vrix populations. Counselor Binah looked confused. How is that possible? We evolved on completely different worlds. Dr. Tae-sung looked uncomfortable. There are only a few explanations. Either these similarities developed independently, which is statistically impossible, or what? Admiral Minho demanded. Or we're related to them somehow. The implications hit everyone at the same time. If Federation species were related to the humans, it meant they weren't studying alien monsters. They were looking at their own ancestors. Counselor Yunsu's logical mind was working through the possibilities. Dr. Tae-sung, how closely related are we talking about? The genetic similarities are too strong to be coincidental. If I had to guess, I'd say Federation species split off from human populations sometime in the distant past. Representative Sung-ho was starting to understand. You mean we used to be like them? Possibly. Though that raises even more questions. How did we get separated? Why don't we remember? And what happened to make us so different? Admiral Minho realized they were facing a much bigger problem than they'd thought. Dr. Tae-sung, I want you to run complete genetic comparisons on every Federation species. Check the historical archives for any references to humans or Earth. Yes, Admiral. Though our oldest records are incomplete, most data from the early colonial period has been lost. Representative Wu Jin was studying the star charts. Admiral, I noticed something interesting about this human star system. It's in a region we've marked as unexplored, but it's very close to some of our oldest colony worlds. Counselor Binah was looking at the timeline data, and the age estimates for human civilization match up roughly with the founding dates of our earliest settlements. The pieces were starting to come together, and none of the representatives liked what they were seeing. If the humans were their ancestors, it meant every peaceful Federation species had originally been as violent and dangerous as the creatures they'd just discovered. Admiral Minho made a decision that would change everything. I'm calling an emergency research session. We need to dig through every historical archive we have. We need to know the truth about where we came from and the humans, Counselor Yunsu asked. What do we do about them while we're researching? Admiral Minho looked at the image of Earth on the display screen. The blue and white planet looked so peaceful from space. Engineer Yujin couldn't sleep. For 3 days, she had been working through the night searching through the oldest computer files in the Federation database. Admiral Minho had given her access to archives that most people didn't even know existed. The files were old, very old. Some were so damaged that only pieces of information could be recovered. But slowly, Yujin was finding clues that made her stomach feel sick. She sat in the research center on Central Station, surrounded by holographic displays showing fragments of ancient text. Dr. Tae-sung worked at another console nearby, running genetic comparisons between humans and Federation species. The results kept getting more disturbing. Yujin, Dr. Tae-sung called out, look at this genetic data. Yujin walked over to his display. The screen showed DNA patterns from different species, color-coded to show similarities. The Keth people, Dr. Tae-sung explained, their genetic structure is almost identical to human genetics, but with key modifications. Look at these changes in their digestive system genes. Yujin studied the data. The Keth can only eat plants, but the original human genes show they could eat both plants and meat. Exactly. Someone modified Keth genetics to remove their ability to hunt and kill animals. They made them into perfect herbivores. Yujin felt cold. Who would do that? And why? Keep looking at the other species, Dr. Tae-sung said. The Merhai genetic pattern appeared on the screen. Again, it was clearly based on human DNA, but with major changes. The Merhai were modified to live underwater, Dr. Tae-sung explained. But look at these neural pathway changes. Someone removed their aggressive instincts and their pack-hunting behaviors. Yujin was beginning to understand. Someone took human genetics and removed all the dangerous parts. Not just the dangerous parts, Dr. Tae-sung corrected. They removed the survival instincts, the competitive drives, the ability to handle extreme stress. They turned apex predators into gentle, peaceful creatures. The VRIX data was even more shocking. The insectoid species looked completely different from humans, but their brain chemistry was unmistakably human in origin. The VRIX modifications are the most extensive, Dr. Tae-sung said. Someone completely changed their body structure, but kept the human intelligence and tool-making abilities. However, they removed all emotions related to violence and dominance. Yujin returned to her historical research with new purpose. If the Federation species were modified humans, there had to be records of when and how it happened. After 2 more hours of searching, she found something that made her hands shake. "Dr. Tae-sung," she called out, "I found a file fragment. It's labeled Colonial Adaptation Project, Phase 3. Dr. Tae-sung hurried over. "What does it say?" Yujin read from the damaged text on her screen. "Subject populations successfully adapted to target environments. Aggressive traits suppressed according to specifications. Memory modification complete. Subjects show no recollection of origin world or baseline human characteristics." "Memory modification," Dr. Tae-sung whispered. "They didn't just change our bodies. They erased our memories of being human." Yujin found more file fragments. Each one revealed another piece of the horrible truth. This one mentioned something called the Terra Exodus, she said. It talks about evacuating population groups from a Class 14 primary world due to environmental unsustainability. Dr. Tae-sung was putting the pieces together. They left Earth. The humans left their homeworld and scattered to other planets, but they changed themselves to survive on those new worlds. Not just to survive, Yujin corrected, reading more fragments. "Listen to this. Psychological modification essential for colony stability. Baseline human aggression incompatible with peaceful coexistence. Recommend complete behavioral restructuring for all colonial populations." The truth was becoming clear. Thousands of years ago, humans had developed space travel and spread to other worlds. But they realized their aggressive, competitive nature made it impossible to live peacefully on those new planets. So they changed themselves. They used genetic engineering to become gentler, calmer, more peaceful species. "Yujin," Dr. Tae-sung said slowly, "if this is true, then every Federation species used to be human. We are all the descendants of the people who left Earth." Yujin nodded. "And the humans still on Earth represent what we used to be like, before we changed ourselves." Dr. Tae-sung was checking the timeline data. The file fragments date back almost 10,000 years. That matches with the founding dates of our oldest colonies. But why did they leave Earth? Yujin wondered. If they were successful there, why leave? The answer came in another file fragment that Yujin discovered an hour later. "Environmental collapse," she read. "The baseline human industrial development caused severe planetary damage. Projections indicated total ecosystem failure within 2 centuries. Emergency evacuation protocols activated." Dr. Tae-sung understood. They almost destroyed their own planet, so they left to find new homes. But they also realized they were the problem, Yujin added. Their aggressive nature, their competitive instincts, their tendency toward warfare, all of that made them too dangerous for their own good. The next file fragment was even more revealing. "Baseline human psychology incompatible with sustainable civilization," Yujin read. "Recommend permanent modification of colonial populations to prevent repetition of Terra ecological disaster. Aggressive traits must be completely eliminated." Dr. Tae-sung sat down heavily. They were trying to save themselves from themselves. "And it worked," Yujin said. "The Federation species have lived in peace for thousands of years. No major wars, no environmental destruction, no extinction-level weapons. But the cost," Dr. Tae-sung whispered. "They gave up everything that made them human. Their strength, their adaptability, their survival instincts." Yujin found one more file that changed everything they thought they knew. "Dr. Tae-sung, listen to this. It's marked Final Phase Protocols. It says, small population to remain on Terra as genetic preserve. Unmodified humans essential for species survival data. Monitor from distance. Do not interfere unless absolute emergency. Dr. Tae-sung stared at her. They left some humans behind on purpose? As a backup, Yujin realized. In case the genetic modifications went wrong. In case the peaceful species they created couldn't survive some future crisis. The implications hit them both at the same time. The humans on Earth weren't just the ancestors of Federation species. They were the emergency backup plan. The Federation's founders had deliberately preserved the original, unmodified human genome on Earth, just in case their peaceful descendants ever needed those survival traits again. We need to tell Admiral Minho immediately, Dr. Tae-sung said. They found the Admiral in his office reviewing probe data from Earth. When they explained what they had discovered, his face went pale. You're telling me, Admiral Minho said slowly, that every species in the Federation used to be human? Yes, Admiral, Yujin confirmed. We found genetic modification records, memory wipe protocols, and colonial adaptation programs. Our ancestors deliberately changed themselves to become peaceful. And the humans on Earth? They're our genetic backup, Dr. Tae-sung explained. Our ancestors left them there unchanged in case we ever needed original human traits again. Admiral Minho was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. This means the most dangerous species we've ever discovered isn't alien at all. They're our own ancestors. Yes, Admiral, Yujin said. The violent, aggressive, survival-oriented creatures we've been so afraid of. That's what we used to be. What we chose to stop being. Admiral Minho walked to his window, looking out at the peaceful space station around them. Federation citizens from dozens of species worked together in harmony. No weapons, no conflicts, no fear of each other. Our ancestors gave up their strength to create this peace, he said. But now we've found them again. Dr. Tae-sung raised the question they were all thinking. Admiral, what do we do now? Do we make contact with our own ancestors? Admiral Minho turned back to them. I don't know. The humans on Earth are what we used to be before we became civilized. They're incredibly dangerous, but they're also family. Yujin had been thinking about the same problem. Admiral, there's something else to consider. The original files mention monitoring from a distance. What if our ancestors have been watching Earth all along? You mean someone's been keeping track of the humans? The files suggest there was supposed to be ongoing observation, but Admiral, we found no records of any current monitoring programs. Dr. Tae-sung understood the implication. The monitoring stopped. Somewhere in our history we lost contact with Earth and forgot why it was important. Admiral Minho made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. Prepare a message for the Federation Council, he ordered. Tell them we've discovered the truth about human origins. Tell them we're not looking at aliens. We're looking at ourselves. And Earth? Yujin asked. Admiral Minho looked at the probe data one more time. Images of humans living on their dangerous world, surviving in conditions that would kill any Federation citizen. Earth is our homeworld, he said finally. And it's time we went home. 6 months after the discovery, 3 ships approached Earth. The Federation Council had spent weeks arguing about what to do. In the end, they decided that first contact with their own ancestors was too important to ignore. Captain Hyunwoo commanded the lead ship, the Harmony's Edge. Dr. So-young sat beside him, more nervous than she had ever been in her life. Behind them came 2 larger vessels carrying diplomats, scientists, and enough military protection to defend against Earth's dangerous inhabitants. But they weren't coming as conquerors. They were coming home. Earth Control, this is Captain Hyunwoo of the Galactic Federation ship Harmony's Edge, he said into his communication device. We request permission to meet with your representatives. The response came back in clear human language, translated by their computers. Unknown vessel, this is Earth Defense Command. Identify your origin and purpose immediately. You are in violation of our airspace. Dr. So-young took a deep breath. Captain, let me talk to them. She activated the communication system. Earth Defense Command, my name is Dr. So-young. We are peaceful explorers from distant worlds. We believe we are your descendants. We would like to meet with you. Silence followed for almost 10 minutes. Then a different voice came through the speakers. Federation vessels, this is General Taemin of Earth Defense Command. Your statement is interesting. Land at the coordinates we are transmitting. Come alone and unarmed. Any sign of hostility will be met with immediate response. Captain Hyunwoo looked at his crew. They're not exactly rolling out the welcome party. Can you blame them? Dr. So Young replied. From their perspective, we're aliens claiming to be related to them. I'd be suspicious too. The landing coordinates led them to a large flat area surrounded by human military vehicles. As their shuttle touched down, Captain Hyunwoo could see hundreds of human soldiers positioned around the landing zone. Each soldier carried weapons that looked primitive but effective. Remember, Dr. So Young said as they prepared to leave the shuttle, these humans are our genetic ancestors. They're stronger and more aggressive than us, but they're still family. The shuttle door opened, and Captain Hyunwoo got his first close look at unmodified humans. 3 humans walked toward them. The leader was tall and strongly built, moving with the confident stride of a natural predator. This was General Taemin. Behind him came a woman with intelligent eyes who introduced herself as Dr. Yoonji, and a younger man named Colonel Dong-woo, who kept his hand near his weapon. So, General Taemin said, studying the Federation delegation, you claim to be our descendants. You don't look much like us. Dr. So Young stepped forward. General, we have evidence that our species split from human populations thousands of years ago. We've brought genetic data and historical records. Dr. Yoonji examined the Federation representatives with scientific curiosity. You're smaller than us, lighter bone structure, and you seem calmer, less alert to danger. Our ancestors modified themselves, Dr. So Young explained. They changed their genetics to become more peaceful. Colonel Dong-woo laughed, but it wasn't a friendly sound. More peaceful? You mean they made themselves weak? Captain Hyunwoo felt a flash of anger, then realized this was exactly the kind of aggressive response the historical files had warned about. These humans saw everything in terms of strength and weakness. Not weak, he said carefully. Different. We've built a peaceful civilization spanning hundreds of worlds. General Taemin's eyes sharpened. Hundreds of worlds? How many of your people are there? Billions, Dr. So Young replied, spread across dozens of star systems. We've had peace for thousands of years. The 3 humans exchanged glances. Dr. Yoonji spoke first. No wars, no conflicts between different groups. Some disagreements, Captain Hyunwoo admitted. But we solved them through discussion and compromise. Colonel Dong-woo shook his head. That's impossible. Put different groups of intelligent creatures together and they'll fight. It's basic nature. Not if you modify that nature, Dr. So Young said gently. Our ancestors removed the genetic drives that cause aggression and territorial behavior. General Taemin was quiet for a long moment. Show me this evidence. They moved to a human facility nearby. The building was strongly constructed, designed to survive the extreme weather that regularly hit Earth. Inside, Dr. So Young presented the genetic data and historical records that Yoojin and Dr. Tae-sung had discovered. Dr. Yoonji studied the information with growing amazement. These genetic modification records, they're incredibly detailed, and the timeline matches with some of our oldest historical legends. What legends? Dr. So Young asked. Stories about the Great Departure, Dr. Yoonji explained. Ancient tales about humans who left Earth to find new homes among the stars. We always thought they were just myths. General Taemin was looking at the genetic comparison data. According to this, your Keth species is descended from humans who were modified to be herbivores. Yes, Dr. So Young confirmed. They can only eat plants now. They've lost all ability to hunt or fight. And your Merhai people were modified to live underwater, but they also lost their competitive instincts. Correct. They're completely peaceful. They spend their time creating art and music. Colonel Dong-woo was studying the Vrix genetic data. These insect-looking creatures were once human too. The modifications were extensive, Dr. So Young admitted. But yes, they were originally human. The changes made them incredibly intelligent but removed all aggressive tendencies. General Taemin closed the data files and looked directly at the Federation representatives. So, let me understand this, he said. Thousands of years ago, humans left Earth and spread to other worlds. But they decided being human was too dangerous, so they changed themselves into different species. Weaker, gentler, more peaceful species. That's essentially correct, Captain Hyunwoo replied. And they left us here as what? A backup copy? Dr. So-Young nodded. The records suggest that unmodified humans were preserved on Earth in case the genetic modifications didn't work out. Dr. Yunji was fascinated by the implications. You mean we're the genetic repository for all your species? The original template you could return to if needed? It appears so, Dr. So-Young confirmed. Colonel Dong-Wu was thinking about the military aspects. What happens if your peaceful Federation encounters something that wants to destroy it? Something that doesn't care about discussion and compromise? Captain Hyun-Woo admitted something that had been worrying Federation leaders. We don't know. We've never faced a truly hostile force. Because you removed your ability to fight, General Taemin said. You traded strength for peace. And it worked, Dr. So-Young pointed out. We've had thousands of years of peace and prosperity. But now you've found us again, Dr. Yunji observed. Why now? What changed? Captain Hyun-Woo explained about their survey mission and the accidental discovery of Earth. We had no idea we were looking for our homeworld. We thought we were studying an alien Deathworld. General Taemin smiled, and Captain Hyun-Woo realized it was the first genuinely friendly expression he'd seen from any of the humans. I suppose from your perspective, Earth would look like a Deathworld. You've been living on safe, comfortable planets for thousands of years. Everything here is trying to kill us, Dr. So-Young said. The atmosphere, the weather, the wildlife, even the microscopic organisms. That's just Tuesday on Earth, Colonel Dong-Woo said with a grin. We're used to it. Dr. Yunji was already thinking about the future. What happens now? Do we join your Federation? Captain Hyun-Woo and Dr. So-Young exchanged glances. They had discussed this possibility during the long journey to Earth. That's up to you, Captain Hyun-Woo said. But you should know that most Federation species are terrified of humans. Your strength and aggressive nature frighten them. Even though we're family? General Taemin asked. Especially because you're family, Dr. So-Young replied. You represent what they used to be. What they chose to stop being. General Taemin stood up and walked to a window overlooking the human military base. Soldiers were training with weapons and vehicles. In the distance, a thunderstorm was approaching and the humans continued their work without concern. Our ancestors gave up their strength to create peace, he said finally. But they kept us here unchanged, just in case that peace couldn't protect them. Yes, Dr. So-Young confirmed. General Taemin turned back to the Federation representatives. Then we'll be here when you need us. We'll be your guardians, your protectors, your reminder of what humans can be when survival is necessary. Captain Hyun-Woo felt a strange emotion he couldn't identify. Looking at these strong, confident humans, he realized his people had given up something precious when they chose peace over strength. There's something else, Dr. Yunji said. If we're going to have a relationship with the Federation, you need to understand what you're dealing with. We're not just your genetic ancestors. We're what you become when you face real danger. She activated a display showing recent human achievements, space stations around Earth, ships exploring the outer planets, and technologies that impressed even Federation scientists. You survived on a death world by becoming incredibly adaptable, Dr. So-Young observed. More than that, General Taemin replied. We learned that strength and compassion aren't opposites. 1 year after first contact, the galaxy was a very different place. Captain Hyun-Woo stood on the bridge of the new Earth Federation embassy ship, watching human vessels practice military maneuvers with Federation ships. The sight still amazed him. The humans had kept their promise. Earth had become the unofficial guardian of Federation space, and the results were remarkable. But not everything had gone smoothly. Captain, Engineer Yu-Jin called from her station. We're receiving a priority message from Admiral Minho. The Keth homeworld is requesting immediate assistance, Captain Hyun-Woo frowned. The Keth were the most peaceful species in the Federation. Their planet was a garden world where nothing dangerous had ever existed. What could they possibly need help with? Put the Admiral through, he ordered. Admiral Minho's face appeared on the main screen. He looked tired and worried. Captain, we have a situation. 3 days ago, an unknown alien force attacked the Keth system. They destroyed 2 orbital stations and demanded complete surrender. Captain Hyun-Woo felt cold. Unknown aliens? From outside the Federation? Completely unknown. They call themselves the Vectar Empire. Captain, they're unlike anything we've ever encountered. They're aggressive, militaristic, and they seem to enjoy causing destruction. Dr. So-Young, who was working as the ship's diplomatic officer, stepped forward. Admiral, what are the Keth doing about it? Admiral Minho's expression became grim. Nothing. They can't do anything. The Keth have no military, no weapons, no concept of warfare. They sent diplomats to negotiate and the Vectar killed them immediately. Yujin was monitoring Federation communications. Captain, I'm picking up distress calls from multiple Keth cities. The aliens are landing ground forces. Captain Hyunwoo made a decision that would define the new relationship between Earth and the Federation. Get me General Taemin on Earth, he ordered. Emergency priority. The communication link opened and General Taemin's face replaced Admiral Minho's on the screen. Even through the video connection, Captain Hyunwoo could see the human's predatory instincts activating. Captain, we've been monitoring Federation communications. We know about the attack on the Keth. General, the Federation has no military capable of stopping these invaders. The Keth are completely defenseless. General Taemin's expression became hard and dangerous. The Keth are our family, our descendants. No one attacks our family. What can Earth do? Dr. So Young asked. We're already doing it, General Taemin replied. The Earth Defense Fleet launched 30 minutes ago. We'll be at the Keth system in 6 days. Captain Hyunwoo was amazed. You're sending your military to defend another species? We're sending our military to defend our children, General Taemin corrected. That's what family does. The next 6 days were the longest in Captain Hyunwoo's life. Federation communications carried constant updates from the Keth system. The Vectar were destroying cities, enslaving populations and killing anyone who resisted. The gentle Keth had no way to fight back. Meanwhile, the Earth fleet raced toward the battle zone. Captain Hyunwoo followed in the embassy ship, along with several Federation vessels carrying medical supplies and refugee support equipment. Captain, Yujin reported, I'm receiving telemetry from the Earth fleet. They're entering the Keth system now. Captain Hyunwoo activated the long-range sensors. What he saw amazed him. The Earth fleet was smaller than the Vectar invasion force, but their ships moved with precision and purpose. Human vessels were built differently from Federation ships. They were heavily armored, fast, and clearly designed for combat. Captain, Dr. So Young said, the Earth fleet is transmitting to the Vectar forces. The communication came through clearly. General Taemin's voice was calm but carried an undertone of barely controlled violence. Vectar Empire, this is General Taemin of the Earth Defense Force. You have attacked our family. You have exactly 60 seconds to withdraw from this system before we destroy you. The Vectar response was immediate and arrogant. Unknown species, you are outnumbered 3-1. Surrender now or be destroyed with the rest of these weak creatures. What happened next would become legendary throughout the galaxy. General Taemin's reply was simple. 60 seconds is up. The battle lasted exactly 47 minutes. Captain Hyunwoo watched in amazement as the Earth fleet systematically destroyed the Vectar invasion force. Human ships moved like predators, coordinating their attacks with perfect timing. They used tactics that Federation strategists had never seen before. The Vectar had superior numbers, but the humans had something the aliens clearly didn't expect. Thousands of years of experience fighting on a death world where only the smartest and strongest survived. Captain, Yujin said in a whisper, the Vectar flagship is requesting terms of surrender. General Taemin's response was broadcast throughout the system. No surrender. You attacked defenseless civilians. You killed diplomats. There are no terms. The last Vectar ship was destroyed 18 minutes later. When Captain Hyunwoo's ship arrived at the Keith homeworld, he found a scene that amazed him. Human soldiers were helping rebuild destroyed cities. Human doctors were treating wounded Keth civilians. Human engineers were repairing damaged infrastructure. But it was the interaction between humans and Keth that surprised him most. The Keth, despite being genetically modified to be peaceful, seemed to instinctively trust the humans. They followed human orders without question, as if recognizing some deep genetic connection. It's like watching children with protective parents, Dr. So Young observed. Captain Hyunwoo met with General Taemin in the temporary command center on the Keth homeworld. The human leader looked tired but satisfied. How did you defeat them so quickly? Captain Hyunwoo asked. General Taemin shrugged. The Vectar are bullies. They're used to attacking weak opponents. They've probably never faced anyone who could fight back effectively. But your tactics? Captain, humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years. We've learned every possible way to hurt our enemies and protect our friends. These Vectar were amateurs. Dr. So Young was studying the captured Vectar technology. General, their weapons are actually more advanced than ours. How did you overcome their technological advantage? Technology doesn't win wars, General Taemin replied. Intelligence, adaptability, and the will to win decide battles. The Vectar had better weapons, but they didn't know how to use them effectively. Captain Hyunwoo was beginning to understand something important. The Federation species gave up their fighting ability to become peaceful, but that left them defenseless against real threats. Exactly, General Taemin agreed. Peace is wonderful, but only if someone is willing to protect it. That's why we exist. Over the following weeks, news of the Battle of Keth spread throughout the galaxy. The Federation species' reaction was mixed. Some were grateful that the humans had protected the Keth. Others were frightened by the humans' combat. Effectiveness. The Emergency Federation Council meeting was called to discuss the implications. Counselor Bina from the Keth spoke first. The humans saved our world. Without them, our entire civilization would have been destroyed. Representative Wu Jin from the Merhai was more cautious, but their violence was extreme. They completely destroyed the Vectar fleet. There were no survivors. Dr. Tae Sung, who had become the Federation's expert on human psychology, tried to explain. The humans don't see warfare the way we do. For them, it's about survival and protecting family. They don't fight for territory or resources. They fight to eliminate threats to the people they care about. Counselor Yoon-soo from the VRIX was concerned about the precedent. If humans become our military force, what happens to Federation independence? Do we become dependent on Earth for protection? Admiral Minho had been thinking about the same question. The alternative is what happened to the Keth. Without protection, we're defenseless against any aggressive species we encounter. The debate continued for hours, but the conclusion was inevitable. The Federation needed the humans, just as the humans needed the Federation. Captain Hyunwoo was present when the final decision was announced. The Federation Council voted to establish a formal alliance with Earth. Humans would serve as the Federation's military force, while the Federation would share their advanced, peaceful technologies and scientific knowledge. But there were conditions. Humans could only use violence to defend Federation worlds or citizens. They could not start wars or attack other species without Federation approval. And all human military actions would be reviewed by Federation oversight committees. General Taemin's response to these conditions surprised everyone. Agreed, he said simply. We don't want to conquer anyone. We just want to protect our family. Dr. So Young asked the question everyone was thinking. But what if more aggressive species attack us? What if we face enemies even stronger than the Vectar? General Taemin smiled, and Captain Hyunwoo recognized the expression. It was the smile of a predator that had found its purpose. Then they'll learn what humans are really capable of when our family is threatened, General Taemin replied. The Vectar were just the beginning. Captain Hyunwoo realized that the galaxy had just become a much safer place for peaceful species. But it had also become much more dangerous for anyone who threatened them. The Federation had found its guardians. And the guardians had found. 2 years had passed since humans became the guardians of the Federation. Captain Hyunwoo now served as the primary liaison between Earth and the Federation Council. His ship, the Unity Bridge, carried representatives from both human and Federation governments as they traveled between worlds. Today's mission was different from usual diplomatic visits. They were heading to a Federation research station that had made a disturbing discovery. Captain, Engineer Yujin called from her station. We're approaching Research Station Kepler 7. The station commander is requesting immediate conference. Dr. So Young looked up from her data pad. She had been studying the preliminary reports all morning, and her expression was worried. Captain, the researchers found something in the old galactic archives, something about other human colonies that might still exist. Captain Hyunwoo felt his stomach tighten. Other colonies? I thought all human populations either stayed on Earth or became Federation species. That's what we believed, Dr. So Young replied. But the archives suggest there might have been other groups. Humans who left Earth but didn't join the genetic modification program. The research station appeared on their main screen. It was a large facility dedicated to studying galactic history and archaeology. Some of the Federation's best scientists worked there, trying to piece together the early days of space colonization. Dr. Sang Woo, the station's chief researcher, met them at the docking bay. He was of Rix, One of the insectoid species descended from humans, but his mannerisms showed the analytical thinking that all Vrix shared. Captain Dr. So Young, thank you for coming quickly. What we've discovered could change everything we know about human expansion. They followed him to the main research lab, where holographic displays showed star maps and ancient text fragments. 3 weeks ago, we found these files in a damaged archive core from one of the oldest Federation stations, Dr. Sang Woo explained. They reference something called the independent colonies and the exile fleets. Dr. So Young studied the displays. Exile fleets? Exiled from where? From the main human colonial program, Dr. Sang Woo replied. According to these fragments, not all humans agreed with the genetic modification plan. Some groups refused to change themselves and were encouraged to leave. Captain Hyunwoo was beginning to understand. You mean there are other humans out there? Humans who stayed unmodified but didn't remain on Earth? It appears so. But Captain, there's more. These exile fleets seem to have established colonies in the unexplored regions beyond Federation space. Yu Jin was checking the star maps. Dr. Sang-woo, how many colonies are we talking about? We don't know exactly. The files reference at least 12 major exile fleets, each with thousands of colonists. They left human space about the same time the genetic modification program began. Dr. So Young was reading the text fragments. This says the exile groups were considered genetically dangerous and unsuitable for peaceful coexistence. What does that mean? Dr. Sang-woo hesitated before answering. The files suggest these were humans who were more aggressive and militaristic than even the baseline Earth population. They were exiled because they refused to become peaceful. Captain Hyunwoo felt a chill. If Earth humans were considered dangerous by Federation standards, what would humans who were too aggressive even for Earth be like? Dr. Sang-woo, do we know where these colonies went? Some of the star charts survived. We've identified possible locations for at least 3 exile colonies. But Captain, they're all in the direction where we've been detecting unusual signal patterns. Yu-jin checked her navigation computer. What kind of signals? Military communications, Dr. Sang-woo replied. High-powered transmissions using tactical encryption. We thought they might be from unknown alien civilizations. But now you think they're from human exile colonies, Dr. So Young said. It's possible. The signal patterns match human communication protocols, but they're much more advanced than anything Earth currently uses. Captain Hyunwoo made a decision. We need to contact General Taemin immediately. If there are other human groups out there, Earth needs to know. The communication link to Earth was established within an hour. General Taemin's face appeared on the screen, along with Dr. Yoonji, who had become Earth's primary scientist for Federation relations. General, we've discovered evidence of human exile colonies that left Earth around the same time as the genetic modification program. General Taemin's expression became serious. Exile colonies? We have no records of any major population groups leaving Earth after the colonial exodus. Dr. Yoonji was already checking Earth's historical databases. General, there are gaps in our records from that period. Some archives were damaged during the environmental crisis period. Dr. Sang-woo has star charts showing possible colony locations, Captain Hyunwoo explained. But there's something else. These exiles were apparently too aggressive even for unmodified human standards. Dr. Yoonji looked shocked. Too aggressive for humans? That seems impossible. The archive fragments suggest these were military groups, warrior cultures, or extremist factions that opposed the peaceful colonial plan, Dr. Sang-woo explained. General Taemin was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was grim. If such groups exist, they would have had thousands of years to develop their military capabilities. Without any moderating influences, they might have become something very dangerous. Dangerous how? Dr. So Young asked. Humans who embrace warfare and aggression without any peaceful balance, General Taemin explained. They would see the Federation as weak and the Earth Federation alliance as a betrayal of human nature. Dr. Yoon-ji was studying the signal analysis data. Captain, these communication patterns suggest highly organized military operations. If these are human exile colonies, they've developed into something more like empires. Yu-jin was monitoring long-range sensors. Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from the direction of the nearest supposed exile colony. It looks like multiple large spacecraft. Captain Hyunwoo felt his blood turn cold. How large? Bigger than anything in the Federation fleet. Bigger than Earth's largest warships. Dr. So Young was reading more archive fragments. Dr. Sangwoo, this text mentions something called the Warrior Codes and Pure Human Doctrine. What do you think that means? It sounds like these exile groups developed ideologies based on human superiority and military strength, Dr. Sangwoo replied. General Taemin's face had gone pale. Captain, if these exile humans have maintained their aggressive nature for thousands of years without any peaceful influences, they would view both Earth and the Federation as corrupted. Earth for protecting weak species and the Federation for abandoning their human heritage. You think they would attack us? Captain Hyunwoo asked. I think they would see us as traitors, General Taemin replied. The conversation was interrupted by an emergency alert from Yoo-jin. Captain, I'm detecting a massive fleet approaching from the outer system. Multiple capital ships and escort vessels. They're not using any Federation or Earth identification codes. Dr. So-young checked the sensor readings. Captain, those ships are definitely human in design, but they're heavily armed. Much more heavily armed than Earth's military vessels. A new communication signal came through the ship's systems. The voice that spoke was human, but there was something cold and hard about it. Federation vessel, this is Fleet Commander Jae-sung of the Terran Dominion. You will stand down immediately and prepare to be boarded. Captain Hyunwoo responded carefully. Commander Jae-sung, I am Captain Hyunwoo of the Federation liaison ship Unity Bridge. We're on a peaceful research mission. There is no Federation, the voice replied. There are only humans and the weaklings who stole human genetics. Prepare to be judged. General Taemin's voice came through the Earth communication link. Captain, get out of there immediately. Contact the nearest Earth defense fleet, but it was too late. The approaching ships had surrounded Captain Hyunwoo's vessel. Yoo-jin reported that their engines and weapons were being targeted by multiple enemy vessels. Captain, Dr. So-young said quietly, I think we just found the exile colonies. Fleet Commander Jae-sung's voice came through again. You will transport to our flagship for questioning. Any resistance will result in the destruction of your vessel and the death of everyone aboard. Captain Hyunwoo looked at his crew. They were facing humans who had spent thousands of years developing military technology and warrior culture, humans who saw the Federation as weak and Earth as traitorous. Dr. Sangwoo, he said quietly, transmit all the archive data to Earth immediately. General Taemin needs to know what we're dealing with. Already done, Captain, Dr. Sangwoo replied. Captain, Yoo-jin said, what do we do? Captain Hyunwoo made the hardest decision of his life. We go with them. Someone needs to learn about these exile humans and get that information back to Earth and the Federation. And if they kill us? Dr. So-young asked. Then at least Earth will know what's coming, Captain Hyunwoo replied. As they prepared to transport to the exile fleet, Captain Hyunwoo realized that the galaxy was about to face a new threat. Not alien invaders or unknown enemies, but humans who had chosen a very different path than either Earth or the Federation. The exile colonies had returned, and they were not happy with what their cousins had become.